This was my early years of investing. Okay, I'll start small. Here's 67, quarter unit. Bam, like clockwork. I was getting 2K checks a month. Ran that for like 6 months. I was like, this is working. Wow. And this goes 5 to 8 years before the well dries up? Really? Okay, cool. I got caught in putting my hard-earned cash and my reserves into somebody else's pocketbook.
Aside from the kind of cash flow problem that you had, or the credit problem that you had to figure out, did you ever really like having like an oh shit moment? Like, man, everything is going to collapse if I don't.
Yeah. So I thought that there would be a time where you don't have to work so hard for money. And I heard about this thing called passive money, not active money. And so I got a call one day from an oil and gas company out of Texas. Their company was called Ameritech Securities. And I have no problem saying it because they're crooks. And some people that are in oil and gas today, God bless you. But my experience with oil and gas was, okay, so you're telling me that I'm going to buy a quarter unit, a half unit. I'm going to own these wells. These things are going to produce oil. I don't have to do anything. And I'm just going to collect a check every single month. And all I need to do is send you, $67,500 or $134,500. And I'll own you either a quarter unit or a half unit, or the full units are going to be $250,000. And I can just send you money and you'll send me money back. And I get a tax write-off because it's considered oil and energy. And so worst case scenario, if something doesn't work out, I was able to get about 85% of that as a tax credit. I thought, being back in the day, this was my early years of investing. Okay, I'll start small. Here's 67, quarter unit. Bam, like clockwork. I was getting 2K checks a month. Ran that for like 6 months. I was like, this is working. Wow. And this goes 5 to 8 years before the well dries up? Really? Okay, cool. Let's do 135. Bam, 135. Started getting 4K checks every single month. Oh, dang, dude, this is really working. This is when I found out about the Ponzi scheme stuff, right? Oh, okay. You got an opportunity. It's only for investors that have invested, that are family and friends, that have done more than 2 deals. Okay, sure. This is a home run. You already hit the oil. You're showing me videos of this thing exploding in the air. All right, yeah, here's 250. Let's go big on this one. I got caught in putting my hard-earned cash and my reserves into somebody else's pocketbook that they ended up defrauding all these people. And they said that, the wells ran dry and they needed, all these different, geographical testings and undergrounds and archaeologists, and they needed to just do all this stuff in the winter and the freezing and the trucks. And it was every excuse in the world. And I hired a private investigator and I tried to do everything that I could. And I went to litigation and they were bankrupt and they closed this and they closed that. And they took me for over, $500,000. I only received about 150 back, and I had a 350K loss. And at that point in time, I realized that you can't just take the easy way. You can't just send somebody money and expect something. And you need to be in control of what you're doing and where you're investing your capital and really do your due diligence. So that happened, when I was 28 years old, 15 years ago. And my investments since then have been a lot different. And I've had a lot of successful investments. But that one almost put me out of business, because when you lose 350K and you got vendors to pay and you were using capital that, was supposed to be to pay your vendors, and you thought that everything was going to be good. And we're hitting 2011 right now. And I didn't know what a recession was. I didn't know that this whole world can close down when there's a recession. I wasn't taught about recessions. I didn't know about a recession. Luckily, my customer base in colleges was recession proof because people still went to college and they still figured out a way to buy a $25 sweatshirt to go on cruise, even though there was a recession. So a lot of other companies were closing down, print companies, my competitors, because corporate companies were not ordering promotional products and wearables, and they were cutting back on the things that they know they can cut back on. And that was the only thing that saved me. So I got really lucky because I could have went BK. And that would have been a big learning lesson, is when you have cash and you have reserves, don't think that it's just always going to be there, and you need to plan for a rainy day, and you need to be blessed when you have cash reserves, and you need to figure out how to get more cash reserves. So keeping your powder dry is a big thing. My dad always said, and I didn't understand what keep your powder dry meant until I didn't have any powder, and I was out in the cold, and I was trying to figure out where my next income is coming from and how I'm paying the vendors to keep my business and my employees.